Hello, everybody. As we saw yesterday, we had a very active trade deadline. Um, we were in a position to have to sell because of a very disappointing first half of this team. I mean, I've spoken about it. This is not how we envision this season going, and it's something that we're taking a hard look in the mirror about how we got here. I think a lot of it was bad luck, but there's also stuff that we need to improve on as an organization, and we're going to do that. But this is a business where there's a lot of competition, and we fell short in the first half. I think the team has played really well lately, and we've gotten healthier, and we've seen the style of play and some of the success that we were hoping for in the last few weeks on the field. But looking at our record, our front office and our entire operation made the decision to sell at the deadline. And I think in the context of that, we are very pleased with the talent that we've received in return. And I think along with our draft, this has been an enormous injection of talent into the Orioles organization over the month of July. So this has been, I think, making the best of a very disappointing situation for us in 2025. And we now set our sights to the remainder of this season. We hope that the play on the field continues to move in the right direction, particularly with our core players that we're going to be counting on the rest of the season and next year. And we'll get to work on improving and setting the roster for the 2026 season throughout the course of the second half, including outside moves as they become available on the wire, and perhaps in free agency, but also we'll look to promote some of our promising young players from Norfolk as we go along. So a lot to look forward to. This has been, a season with a lot of negative um, things transpiring, but we've made the best of it at the deadline, and we hope that brighter things are ahead in the very near future.
First question, Mike, is from Rock Kabako.
Is there anything, Mike, that happened maybe in the days or weeks leading to the deadline that made it suddenly more probable that you would be moving guys, controllable players, guys that would have been back next year and beyond, or was that always a strong possibility?
It was only a possibility if the return was going to be more than commensurate, and we feel that was the case. We weigh that into everything. It's different when it's a rental, but if there's a player that was in your plans for 2026 or beyond, you've got to weigh that, and I think we were able to take advantage of that.
Andy Koska.
Hey, Mike, thanks for doing this. Obviously, you've spoken about the organizational goal to be super competitive in 2026. Some of these deals, at least from the outside, players in return don't impact the 2026 roster. How do these deals help the organization as you look to retool for 2026?
Yeah, thanks. It's really, in my view, just it's not really how it works when you're at the trade deadline. If you were to go to the market and say, I only want players that are ready in 2025 or 2026, first of all, the teams you're dealing with by nature are contending and worrying about their major league depth. So they're not going to want to put those players available as easily. And second of all, you're going to get less talent, less value in return with those confines. So my view, we don't want to be selling this year. A lot has gone wrong to put us in that place. But once we're here, let's make the most of it. Let's get the most talent back. Let's extract the most that we can for the organization. And yeah, a lot of the players that we got back were in the lower part of the minor leagues, but you can use players to trade for the near term. And then also, it could pay off in the long run. So I just look at it in terms of the overall talent wealth for the organization and making the most of an opportunity that you have that you don't want to have at the trade deadline.
Rich Dubroff.
Hey, Mike, you've stated that you thought that you still had a core that would be able to contend in 2026. With that, what was the reason for trading Laureano and Arias, who were under club control basically for 2026?
Yeah, I'm not sure that we trade Ramon Laureano without the return level that we feel like we got from the Padres. So that's something that again, it's a matter of what we're getting back with a player that we were possibly planning on retaining in 2026. I think Boston Bateman, in particular, a very premium pitching prospect from the left side, the likes of which very hard to get your hands on. They did a great job, the Padres, IDing him and drafting him in the second round last year, and he's off to a great start and looks really good. And it's just something that brought us to the table on Ramon and that entire trade. So we'll look to get back the most that we can if we're putting a player like him on the table.
Jake Rill.
And Mike, Tony spoke recently about how with guys like Cedric, Hearn maybe leaving, it's time for the core guys, the Adleys, the Gunners to kind of step up and, this is their team and leadership. I mean, do you kind of view it the same way, especially these last 2 months of the season, that maybe these guys need to step up more in the leadership roles now that Cedric and Ryan are gone?
I think they are. I think it's happening naturally. They're logging more time in the big leagues. These guys have been through, they've got a lot of experience now. I mean, we've had a couple really good seasons with some playoff heartbreak. Now we've had this. I think these guys are growing up and taking ownership of the team, and very happy with the determination that this group of players has. And there's definitely a bond between these guys as well. So we are all disappointed with where we're at, but there's a lot of determination to not have this happen again.
Danielle Allentuck.
Hey, Mike, you have said multiple times that you've taken responsibility for part of how this season has gone. Looking to 2026, what do you feel like you and the front office needs to do the rest of the season and into the offseason to make 2026 a competitive year?
We got to make good moves. I mean, you look at the league. There's 30 teams. It's a zero-sum competition, meaning that somebody's winning and somebody's losing, and everybody's out there trying to win. And you need to have moves that pan out better than the next guys. So we're trying to be as smart as possible. We've got a few months to plan for 2026, and we're going to take that time to take a look at the landscape and figure out plan A, plan B, plan C, and then try to execute it. But in the meantime, we have the ability to supplement the team as we go along here the next few months. Hope to keep coaching wise, keep our players on the right track and keep them improving in the majors and minors. But we have to have a good off season and put ourselves in a good position and good chance to succeed. And we're going to be working on that.
Brendan Mortensen.
Mike, you mentioned Boston Bateman. The upside that he has, John Watts Brown is viewed as a pretty high-end pitching prospect as well. How do you view the pitching talent down on the farm right now with the influx of guys that you're able to get at this deadline?
I think it's really good. I mean, I think we've seen 2025, one thing that's 2025, 2024, 2020, all of these last couple of seasons have shown us is pitchers are going to get hurt and you need a lot of them. But we have a lot of really good ones. And this is probably as strong as our pitching stable's been in the last few years. So hope these guys stay on track. Brought a lot into the deadline, but also the guys that we've drafted and signed internationally and internally here with the Orioles. There's quite a bit to like there, and I feel good about our pitching stable right now, but we're going to need it.
Nick Testoni, WBAL.
Hey, Mike, I know this is not the position you wanted to be in at this time of the year, but when everything shifted going into yesterday, did you accomplish everything that you wanted to at this deadline?
I wouldn't say 100% of things got across the finish line. That's really hard to have happen. Lots got to go right for that. But overall, with the agenda that we had, which was to bring talent into the system and move players that were either near their contract, that the contracts were either expiring or near expiring, I think we did quite well in that regard. I think that we brought in a lot of talent, and they were the right moves for the situation that you're in, and that's part of the duties of the front office to weigh the spot that the team's in and do the right thing by the organization of the deadline. And I do feel that that was accomplished.
Jerry Coleman. Jerry, if you're here, I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I thought you guys were unmuting me. Mike, two different quick questions. One is a message to the fans about staying engaged and involved with the team. They want to, know what's going on in terms of the rest of the season. And the other is with the Morton deal, how late in the ball game did that go down? It seemed like it was announced, obviously, right after the trade deadline. Thanks.
The Morton deal was very late, last 30 minutes. In terms of staying engaged with the fans, we are sorry that 2025 has gone this way. A lot had to go wrong, and it has. And we're addressing that. And part of it is doing the right thing by the talent in the organization with the deadline. And we've between the draft and the deadline, we've had an enormous injection of talent to the organization. It's going to benefit us short term, but also long term. And it needed to be done, and we executed well in those constraints. We have an extremely exciting group of young players on the Orioles that we've all come to enjoy, and these guys are still here. They're fighting hard. They're aware as a group of where we're at and very determined to do better going forward. So these guys are still here as the heart and soul, and they are still with us. And we have a great place to start as we build for the rest of 2025 and 2026 with Gunnar, Adley, Jackson Holiday, Colton Cowser, Jordan Westberg. A lot of good players coming, and we're in a good spot despite the misfortunate first half.
Stan Charles.
Mike, you've done a terrific job at position player development, but the one area, and I understand your philosophy, is you can get pitching all different ways, but are you happy with the development of pitching in this organization at this point in time?
Yeah, we haven't, as you mentioned, we haven't brought in a lot of real high draft picks on the pitching side. A little more recently, but early in the rebuild, we wanted and needed to hit on those picks with core position players, and so that was our emphasis. I think that our pitching department has done a great job with a lot of lower investment type guys that we've brought in, and they've been able to demonstrate a lot of the skill that we've had on the pitching side with how they've coached up some of these players. A lot of them are still in the farm system, but you're going to see them soon. We've had a lot of injury misfortune, as have other organizations, and it's a really tough thing right now to get pitching figured out all around. But this is an area that there's always room for improvement, and we definitely need better pitching performance on the field next year in 2026, and so we're going to be pushing for that.
John Mioli.
Mike, as you mentioned, just the sheer amount of players you've added to the organization in the last month or so, having been recently on the buying side of trades and now the selling side, do you feel like you're more equipped with the depth to make trades to add to the major league roster than you might have been when the organization was a little more top heavy on the farm?
Yeah, I think that we kind of maybe quietly, but we pushed a lot of chips in 2024 in particular, and that we traded a lot of players away. And we had a playoff season, but we didn't have a long playoff run, as we all know. And it depleted a lot of the farm system, and it is important to have that ability to make trades when you want to. So our farm system is a lot richer and a lot more robust than it was 1 month ago, and that's going to help us.
Matt Wyrick.
Mike, you mentioned the importance of making better moves than the next guy, and it's been documented on
some of the moves that you tried to make last offseason that might not have gone through. But how aggressive do you feel the front office needs to be this offseason to pull off coming back to contention in 2026?
I don't like saying aggressive or not aggressive. We want to be good. We want to be smart. We want to have it be effective. I mean, signing Ramon Laureano was probably not an aggressive move, but it paid great dividends. And so you're trying to get good results. It's not easy. That's why there's so much fierce competition among 30 teams. That's what this is all about, is watching these baseball players and these baseball organizations compete against each other. And we want to be good. We want to be effective. We want to be smart. That's where our focus is on.
Chris, WBL News Radio. Chris, if you're still here, I think you're on mute.
Apologies there, Mike. I wanted to ask specifically about Twine Palmer, who you acquired in the Ramon Arias deal. There was some chatter about him being ranked 37th according to Fangraphs. How much do you take into account rankings like that? I know a lot of times beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and are you targeting a specific pitcher? Big guy here, 6'5". Is he looking to maybe be in the bullpen, starting rotation? Talk about Twine Palmer a little bit.
Yeah, huge guy, throws 95, is very young, came out of a JUCO, I think in Oklahoma. And, he's somebody that we're going to develop as a starter. He's off to a good start in pro ball. It's kind of just cracking the surface of what he can do as a pro. There's a lot of building blocks there. We look at the public rankings a little bit. You just kind of keep an eye on it. But I think they sometimes lag what the front offices look at, but they're a helpful tool.
Got time for a few more questions. If you have any more, please put them in the chat. Next one's from Jacob Calvin Meyer.
Hey, Mike, do you expect Samuel Basio and Dylan Beavers to make their debuts later this season?
Yeah, I hope so. They're both having terrific seasons. They've both been bright spots for this organization in a tough year. To see them performing in AAA like that is really good. They've come a long way, and they're almost there. There's some things that we're still looking for and hoping that they'll do, but I do think getting them a taste in 2025 here would be a good thing for all parties.
Andy Koska.
Hey, Mike, sorry to jump to a different topic, but Grayson Rodriguez, we haven't necessarily heard the second opinion or the MRI results. Do you have any update on Grayson Rodriguez?
Yeah, thanks. We're still kind of finalizing the medical plan, but he's had a tough year. If you recall, he was feeling some elbow impingement during spring training. And we had to shut him down and start him back up. Unfortunately, that has kind of reappeared. At the time, that was the opinion of all medical parties, and including outside opinions, to treat the injury conservatively before we go diving into an elbow surgery. But now with this recurring, I think that option is back on the table. And this would not be an elbow reconstruction. It would be a debridement of some bone that needs to be removed or can be removed. And if we go through with this, which is a possibility here in the next few days, it'll put him down for the rest of 2025, but it'll put him in a position to return for 2026 spring training. So we'll have an official update on that if and when that takes place, but that is now increasingly in the conversation.
Jake Rill.
Mike, how much thought are you going to give the manager position for 2026 over the next 2 months? And when do you kind of expect to go through that process of evaluating who's going to lead this team moving forward?
Quite a bit of thought. Tony continues to do a great job keeping the team on track, and we've seen improvement. And we've really liked what he's done in the spirit of the team under his helm. But I am, with the deadline and the draft over, turning my focus to setting up the organization for 2026, and that includes thinking about that position.
Nick Testoni.
I'll just jump back to the deadline. It was a pretty chaotic market, especially for relievers, getting a lot in return. You guys traded away several relievers. I was just curious what you thought of the market, and if you had wanted to, in hindsight, maybe waited with Soto and Dominguez, considering they were traded a couple days ahead of it.
No, I'm glad we traded Soto and Dominguez in those trades. I thought they were exactly what we were hoping for, and I feel that the returns are really strong. So I think we navigated the reliever market well with all three of our guys and with Baker too, looking back. So happy about that. Yeah, I mean, relievers, it makes sense. They get a lot at the deadline because playoff teams have the holes and they want to plug them. And there's a guy throwing well who's hot, who's doing well on a team that's not as likely to make the playoffs, and they're worth more to the other team than the team they're being traded from. So I hope and think we took advantage of that, and see how the chips fall, but feel really good about the returns on all four of those trades.
All right, got time for 3 more questions. Matt Wyrick is next.
Mike, how did the O'Hearn and Laureano trade come together with the Padres? Was it something where they were looking to package those guys early, or is it something that kind of came together as talks progressed late?
They wanted each player individually, and other teams wanted each player individually. And just throughout the course of a couple weeks of conversation between AJ Preller and me, that we started steering towards packaging them both. I think with the way their roster is shaped, they obviously have room for both guys. I think the Padres have a really strong roster now, and AJ and I have known each other for a long time, and we worked well together on figuring out a very complicated trade. But I think ultimately it's a good one for both teams, and I wish those guys very, very well. They were incredible. And for us, and just really, really good players, and I hope to see them have success, all the guys.
Dan Charles.
Mike, I'm just curious. Obviously, you picked up all young players in these deals. Were there ever any opportunities there where you might have been able to pick up either a meaningful starter that could have helped the team next year, or a significant reliever to reboot the bullpen?
Yeah, I think that we definitely tried for that. That's what I was saying earlier. It's a rental reliever or a rental player, and if I say, hey, give me your major league ready starting pitcher that's under control for 6 years, it's just not a real likely trade to happen in that context. So rather than try to force that and either come away with nothing or come away with a guy that's not very good, I think the right thing to do is to get the most value back for the organization. And so that's what we did. But obviously, we would have loved to do that, but you got to be realistic. And there's just not a lot of major league ready starting pitchers being traded by teams that are right there in contention, especially for rental type returns.
Final question today is from Jacob Calvin Meyer.
Hey, Mike, we obviously don't know how much cash considerations were sent in any of these deals, but for the payroll that came off the 2025 books is about 20 million or so. And then the players that, won't be returning in 2026 for the guys that you did have under some team control, that's about 22 million. And then there's a lot more money coming off the books next year as well. Are you committed? Is David Rubenstein committed to reinvesting any money that was saved at this deadline and money that's coming off the books back into the 2026 and future payrolls?
Yeah, thanks. First of all, we did send money in a lot of these trades, and I want to thank and credit David and our ownership group for making that lever available to facilitate better talent returns. Oftentimes, especially nowadays, the teams on the buy side of these trades they're in the CBT space, so they're paying luxury taxes or giving up draft picks when they take on payroll. So it's really important for them sometimes to get some financial help. And you got to have owners that are able and willing to do that in order to participate. So that was, I think, very helpful in us being able to execute an effective sell deadline. And I think that speaks to their ability and willingness to invest, not just in the team and the payroll, but in the organization. They really want to win. They're disappointed with how this went. And we're going to get back in the saddle.
Hey, and Mike, just one last quick one. Are you more optimistic today than you were 3 weeks ago that you guys will be able to compete in 2026?
I am, because we just brought a lot of talent into the system. You never know how the deadline's going to go. You can have bad luck at the deadline and deals can fall through and you can end up not doing what you need to do or want to do. And by and large, that didn't happen. We feel good with how the chips fell and the talent that we brought in. It's going to help us in any number of ways. And the organization, it's not, this isn't what we wanted to be 6 months ago, but we're in a much better spot than we were 1 month ago. And our core players are rolling a little bit and getting healthy. And as you mentioned, Basio and Beavers are getting close, and other guys. So there's bright stuff ahead. We hope that this misfortune passes and we get back to where we expect and need to be going forward.